Welcome everybody to the off season after beating the Jaguars 49-0, put up a goose egg in the Super Bowl. A fantastic game for us, a horribly embarrassing game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And speaking of embarrassing, I've already recorded this off season, finished it, got all the way to the preseason of the next season, and Madden didn't give me any option to save. Tried to fix it. It ended up logging me out of my profile and I lost all progress. So we are here doing the off season, for me the second time, for you hopefully the first time, and there's not a third time for me. But I wrote down all the guys that I drafted, so hopefully we'll be able to recreate this off season as accurately to the original one as possible. I didn't do any sort of trading up, didn't do any sort of trading down. I did trade out of, I believe it was my second fourth round pick for a pick next year and a second seventh round pick. So if that presents itself again, we will do that as well. I'll try to re-sign the same players, we'll let go the same players. All depends on what Madden ends up doing and if it lets me do the same thing. So as this game ends here, or as that ends there, we'll continue to the offseason here. So last season was pretty fantastic for us in terms of our overall. We had some scary moments here and there, but we ended up pulling through, had the best season I think I've ever seen from the Vikings. The first Super Bowl in Vikings history, the first Super Bowl appearance since 1977. We have some good, solid young guys to build around. We have a lot of guys that have gotten older. We need to basically redo a lot of our depth. We have a lot of work that we need to do, so we're going to need to get started on that. And first, that means we need to wave goodbye to season one and sim on over to next week, the staff week of the off season. And now that we're into the off season, we won't be making any sort of changes to our staff. Our staff was fantastic for us. They have developed very well for us. So we won't be doing anything there, but we do need to upgrade some players. Pretty sure it's going to be all practice squad players. I don't know if you can hear a ball bouncing in the background. The dog's playing with herself. Yeah. Oh, so there are a couple that are not practice squad players. Christian Darrisaw gets the upgrade, which we will do. And I remember I did pass protector for him. So we'll do that again. Always need to do pass protector with him because he's not a pass blocker. He's gotten better, but he's not as good at pass blocking as he is run blocking. And at left tackle, I would like him to be a bit better there. Jeff Flanagan, another upgrade for him. Fantastic rookie season. Possession upgrade for him. And again, these aren't going to be the same things as what he had previously the first time I went around, but upgrades nonetheless. And Dalton Smith, who in the last time I filmed this, we did end up sticking with him at center. Bradbury we let go. We will continue to do that, and he will actually get his number changed to 50, just because I like my centers wearing 50. It's just a weird thing. And then the rest of these guys, I will just let the computer auto upgrade them. They're all practice squad players, basically, or players I don't quite really care about. So we'll just let them auto upgrade. Weekly awards, we did take a look at least I took a look at. And yeah, Saunders, offense, Dantzler, defense. I can see why they gave Dantzler the MVP of the Super Bowl, as the defense put up a goose egg. Saunders also helped the offense put up 49 points, so arguably he deserves a little credit there too. And their offensive player, only 3 catches, 32 yards. That was their best player in Marvin Jones Jr. Smoot, though, did have a personal good game. I wouldn't say it was a great game, but personal, he played pretty well. And with that all done, we don't need to do any scouting. I already know the players that I needed to draft, so we are good there. And we don't have any staff moves we need to do, so time to move on to the off-season. Full off-season where we will re-sign or let go of our players and then move into free agency. And before we go to sign or release anyone, taking a look at the retirees, Linval Joseph, Devin McCourty, they do retire both after 13 seasons. So glad we were able to bring in Linval Joseph and get him a ring as a Minnesota Viking. I believe he had one during his time with the Giants, but he gets another one here, well deserved. And then we kind of went through here a little bit. Aaron Rodgers retires, Trent Williams, Calais Campbell retires. Viking. Mike Remmers, a former Viking. Ndamukong Suh. Emmanuel Sanders, Riley Reef, a former Viking. Ryan Fitzmagic ends up retiring after 18 seasons. Joe Flacco retires. Case Keenum, another former Viking, retires. Ben Roethlisberger retires. And head coach Pete Carroll retired from Seattle. They got all the way to the NFC Championship. We beat them, and that is when he calls it done. As for our current players who are now up to go into the free agents market, a little different here. Jason Verrett's speed did go down this time. It did not last time, but we did not end up bringing him back. We tried to bring back Poole, but he said no, so we will not re-sign Poole. DeCastro, we did not re-sign him here. We did end up re-signing him actually in free agency, so we might end up doing that again. Or hopefully we'll end up doing that again, but I'm making this as accurate as possible. Alexander Mattison, we did not re-sign. He has talent to play elsewhere, and we have a lot of money that we need to spend to rebuild the secondary. Not secondary. We do need to rebuild the secondary, but rebuild the backups along the team. Bradbury, we did not re-sign. Dalvin Tomlinson, we did not re-sign either. And then all these guys I already said no to during the season. So that is free agency. And the first one I went through and basically talked about why we're not re-signing, and mostly comes to regression and age. So Jason Verrett is not going to be a long-term solution. His speed is going down. We saw Brian Poole get beat quite often with 89 speed. So we're going to move away from Verrett, try to get younger. Poole could play slot for us. That's why we offered him. But just ended up he didn't want to come back to us. So we said that's fine. Go into free agency. David DeCastro, we chose not to at this point because we wanted to try to sign him cheaper. I believe we actually ended up signing him for $3 million or $3.99 million in free agency. So kind of funny there. Alexander Mattison, we didn't, just because I don't want to be spending $4 million per season on a backup running back. There's cheaper options that we could get. Garrett Bradbury. We have Dalton Smith, and Dalton Smith has better ratings and is much younger, so that's why we're not bringing back Bradbury. Also saves about $7 million a season. Dalvin Tomlinson, getting older, we want to get younger. We could find his ability in the draft. And then the rest of them, they're just not quite good enough. They're either backups that we didn't like their play, including Irv Smith Jr. just did not play well for us. So that was our free agency. We just basically let everyone go. And we'll jump ahead into the next week where we will first go through the roster and clean up all the loose ends. And obviously we spent a lot of time talking about it this season, about the depth on the team and how bad they were that we definitely want to fix. So we will be doing that for sure. I also want to show that we have now not as many older guys. We had a lot more guys in their 30s and older last season, so we've already cut down on them pretty significantly. Not going to try to bring in anyone over the age of 30 in free agency if we could avoid it. As for the individual positions, there are guys we're going to need to release. DJ Dallas is interesting because he has a skill set pretty similar to Madison, but he's already 24 and is only 69 overall. So we're going to go ahead and let both of these running backs go. Fullbacks we are good at. Receivers, we do have some guys we need to get rid of just because the age that they are and their current overall rating, just not good enough for us. So Anthony Jones is gone. We will also be releasing Gilbert Crisp, Steven Thomas, as well as Malik Taylor. The rest will stay. At tight end, we don't have anything to cut. Both are very young in their now second season. Flanagan is our number one tight end. Michael Lucas is our blocking tight end. We will need to pick up a third tight end. Along the offensive line, not much to do here in terms of cutting. I will go ahead and cut Wyatt Davis just because his skills are just poor all around. He's already 24. He's 27 overall with a boost from the coaches. And he has a good lead block and decent impact blocking, but the rest of the stats or ratings are just not there. There isn't much to cut along the defensive line, the only one being Jalen Twyman. He's just never really going to develop into anything for us, so he will hit the open market. At linebacker, we do need to move Eric Wilson over to right outside linebacker instead of left, as we do not currently have a starter over at right outside backer. This was Barr's spot last year, and he played well when he came out, but it wasn't anything special. We are going to change Eric Wilson's number to 51. I would move it to 50, his number that he first played with in Minnesota, but that's the number that I'm going to give Dalton Smith just because I like my centers wearing 50, and as we replace other guys along the offensive line, you'll see my other favorite numbers come into fruition there. Now at middle linebacker, I would love to cut both of these guys. Weaver, I'm definitely going to cut because it saves a little over $1 million in cap, and he sucks. I would love to cut Troy Dye. I just don't really want to eat the cap. So we would gain around 800,000, but just not that important. He could be a deep backup for us. Same situation here for Surratt. I would like to cut him, but I don't want to eat $500,000 in cap. At corner, I will eat the 70K here just because Harrison Hand has played so bad. We'll get a majority of that million back. And then we are also going to cut the other two guys because we don't need a 61 overall corner on this roster. Now, of course, this does only leave us with one corner, but this is a position we're going to address in free agency. At safety, Cameron Bynum could stick around for a little bit longer. We don't have any other safety, so we're good there, and we only have one kicker and punter. So that is the roster all cleaned up. Now it's time to bring some new guys in. And to do that, we have about 90 mil in cap space, and we did go after Denzel Ward in the original recording. We will do that again here. He's a young guy. He has fantastic cover ability. He's not necessarily the size that we particularly want, 6 foot plus, 200 plus, but 5'11", 190, he's sure well close enough, and he has the skill set to deserve it as well. He's just a star dev, but that could definitely grow. We are going to give him a 4-year contract, and let's bump this up. I don't remember the exact contract I offered before, but I do know that we offered more than everyone else. However, last time it was not the Bengals that were in second. I believe it was the Cardinals. So maybe we offer just a little bit more, make this a 72. In fact, I feel like I offered a $72 million contract before. So offer just a little bit more. We have the lead. Hopefully that is enough there. Over at safety, let me see here. So it is a bit different this time. The safety that we signed... Oh wait, no, just kidding. He is here. Jimmy Ward, we did put in an offer for and did re-sign. Since no one has offered to him, I will make this a little bit of a cheaper contract for us. He's 32, so he's a bit older, but there's just not a whole lot of options out there. So we'll give him an offer. It's a 2-year deal, so gives us a little bit of flexibility. Over at free safety, we offered both Monte Nicholson and Deontay Thompson and ended up getting both of them, so I will do that as well. So I will offer Nicholson a 2-year deal for about $3 million, so about 1.5 a season. It's a low total points, but there's no offers on them. That's why I'm offering these deals. Same for Deontay Thompson. I'll offer him something small. A very similar contract to Nicholson as well. And see if we end up recreating it. Same contract, about 1.5 a season. Another higher 40s offer. Again, if there's no bid on them, this is the kind of offer we're going to put out there just so we could try to get some guys in this kind of aspect. Also at corner, we ended up, here's the other corner people here. If you are curious, we thought about Murphy Bunting, but just didn't quite like his stats and how it lined it up with what we do. Now, Kyle Fuller, he is another older guy, so he will end up needing to be replaced, but there's only so much we could do. He has the speed, he has the press ability, and the zone coverage. No one's offered to him, so we will. And we ended up signing him last time, so hopefully we can recreate that. I'm going to lower the offer here to $4.2 million just because no one has offered. It's a 61-point offer. Some of these offers might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less than ones I originally offered, but are needed. So those are 2 tight ends. And we did sign some other guys in free agency after the whole offseason, so we will do the same. I tried to go after guys like Holcomb, Cashman. Unfortunately, just they didn't want to come play for us, so I'm not going to offer any of these guys, but here's some of the top guys available. Taki I did offer, but in the second round, a bunch of teams went after him, so didn't end up getting any linebackers there. In terms of defensive line, I don't believe we went after any of the right ends. We did get a couple of guys on the DTs. I went after Tyre Tart. Another person did as well, and they ended up going for him, or getting him. I'm trying to remember who else. We went after Tristan Hill. Another team also went after him later on. We did pick up Byron Cowart, so I will offer him a small contract as well. We'll make it a 2, just so there's a little bit of trade ability here. But the defensive lineman just wants so much money, and I don't know why. This is going to be a really low offer, but if he takes it, he takes it. It's $2 mil a season. Like, yeah, I'd take it in a heartbeat. So yeah, we're going to offer him. I'm trying to remember who else we ended up signing. I know we got a guy over here. We tried to get Arden Key. They ended up... someone else went for him, so we said no. We did sign Malcolm Brown and moved him back over to defensive tackle, which is where he should be. So we'll put in a small offer for him as well. A $1.4 million contract for 1 year. And I feel like that was all the defensive line that I put in offers for and ended up getting. Along the offensive line, there really wasn't anything that was an upgrade, nor were there any depth players that I thought that would be good enough. Nate Davis, I feel like, is a new. I don't feel like he might have been in there, but I don't quite remember. He's pretty good. We could end up offering him, but since I didn't the first time, I don't want to this time. But he could be a solid guy to pick up. Would cost a chunk of money for sure, and Seattle is currently going after him with a pretty high amount, so it would cost us to go after him. Bradbury did have some guys going after him, so we didn't go after him. One guy we did go after, DeCastro. He doesn't have any offers. He's only a 75 with the morale right now 72, but the skill points are still pretty good and would be better than anyone else that we currently have. So we did offer him a contract. And it looks like we might be able to get a little bit of a cheaper contract out of him this time. So we'll go a little bit cheaper, $3.25 million for 1 season. It's a 73-point offer, which should be perfectly high enough to get him on the roster. Besides him, there were some good guys. Obviously, J.C. Treader and Rodney Hudson. However, they're pretty old, in the upper 30s. Really not trying to go for anyone older. Ezra Cleveland, 75. There's not much in terms of guys that would be an improvement over him that are younger. So no reason to go after them, and no upgrade here at tackle over Darisaw. Tight ends, we didn't end up offering anybody. Receivers, we didn't offer anyone. There wasn't anyone that really stuck out to me. We did, however, sign a new running back in Benny Snell, because he is a very similar running back, same age as well, to Madison. Ratings aren't exactly the same, but very similar in terms of speed, acceleration, trucking ability, as well as break, tackle, and carrying. So I think he would be a fantastic guy to team up with Dalvin Cook. So we'll give him an offer as well. It's not a very high offer, as not many teams have even offered him yet. I will make this a $4.5 million, so $2.25 per season. A lot cheaper than that of what we were looking for with Madison. So we'll see if he ends up signing that. Might end up needing to change it. Some of these guys we might not get the same as we did last time, or at least I did last time. But yeah, Alexander Madison does have offers, so that's why we didn't offer him. And then we don't need any backup quarterbacks, although Tom Brady is available, Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins is available. Don't need to bring him back. But yeah, a couple backup, possibly even spot starting quarterbacks are available for some teams if they want to go after them. But that's all we're going to offer here in the first round. Those are all the guys that I believe we picked up. So I'm going to advance to the next week, see if they come. If they don't, make some adjustments. We might end up having to pick up some other guys if they don't come. And as we move over to the next round here, Kyle Fuller does accept the contract, so we do get him. Denzel Ward is coming back, so that is fantastic. He was our #1 target. We do get both of the defensive linemen, both of which are going to be defensive tackles, as we needed to improve the depth, as well as find a starter, because we only have one right now. And then as for the other guys, sign free agents. Let's check on where they're sitting at, see if anyone else came to swoop in to try to steal one of our guys here. As we jump over, Benny Snell now does have a contract from the Cardinals. However, it's not a super high contract. So let's see if we can match it, just because I want to be as accurate to the original as possible. Make this about a $5 million contract. And that's still very low compared to the Cardinals. So let's bump this up to a 3-year deal. See if that helps us out at all. 54. It's putting us closer, but they're offering quite a bit to Snell here. But trying to be accurate, and he is a good player. I do want him. He very much fits what we had in Madison, but will be maybe at a cheaper contract now. So let's see. I'm offering 3 years, $8 million. So yeah, much cheaper than what Madison was looking at. Madison was wanting about $4 million a season. So far under that. We're under $3 million a season right now. Trying to even this out a little bit, and that looks about right for us. DeCastro still up. And Deontay Thompson, the Saints are going all in after him. I'm not trying to go all in after anybody with that low of overall. So we'll go check out some of the other safeties, because we do need some depth guys. Redwine we thought about, but just didn't quite like some of the ratings. What about Will Harris? He's 27, so he's not super young, but he's younger than the other safeties that we had. Bit of a balance, could play both sides, and that is what we offered Deontay Thompson for. So we'll offer another contract here, make it a little bit lower than what we had previously offered, just because he's lower overall. 2 years, 2.7, so about $1.35 million a season. That should be enough to bring in Will Harris. And with all of those offered, that now makes up for the player that we now won't be getting. Hopefully we still get Benny Snell, but I'm only offering someone else if we end up not getting one of the guys that I offered previously. So we'll sim on over to the next week, where we have to choose some players to scout more and see what we go on from there. Now simming over to the third round, DeCastro comes back for one more year. And we also get the safeties in Jimmy Ward. Fantastic. I didn't even realize that we hadn't got him yet, as well as Will Harris. So we get safeties, and we need to now choose our private workout guys. I'll choose the same guys that I chose last time, even though I feel like you only ever get one of the information of these guys. Even though you have to pick 3, it's kind of just a toss-up of who's going to actually get the scouting points. So I know we chose Justin Dawson, who is a safety that we were going after. We also chose Sam Schaefer, our favorite linebacking target. And we chose a DT down in the 3rd to 4th round, Martin McAllister. So I will confirm those picks, and we'll see if it ends up being the same information that we get shown. I will say last time it was the safety that we got. I think it was a 100 or 95 or something percent completion percentage on. The other two, we didn't get anything. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Jump into free agency just to double check. I feel like there is another guy, Benny Snell. We didn't hear anything from Benny Snell. So let's see. Cardinals go even higher. And now Monte Nichols is being offered by the Falcons. So we need to look at basically 2 new guys there. I don't want to spend a whole lot of money at those positions. So Jamal Williams. He's a bit older. 79 overall, so be similar to what we had in Madison. However, I played with Jamal Williams when I did a Lions franchise on think it was Madden 20, maybe 21. I don't quite remember, but I didn't really enjoy playing with him. And I'm looking for someone that has a little bit of power, because that power really helped us out. So Rashard Penny does not have really any power. I would have loved to go with Snell, but he doesn't want to join the team. Doesn't really look like there's much else in terms of any sort of power back here. There's Royce Freeman way down the line here. He has decent speed, decent trucking, honestly pretty similar ratings. Just this couple things a little different, so I guess we could go pretty cheap here. Or at least try to go pretty cheap. We'll see if they accept it. 2 years, $3 million, so 1.2 a season. It'd be a 32-point offer. We'll see if they take it. Or they, I mean Freeman. Then we needed a free safety as well, because right now we have 271 overalls and an 81 overall, so we definitely need another guy. DeMonte Kazee. What do you look like? It's another older guy, for sure. Speed isn't great, and I don't want someone who doesn't have much speed at free safety. There is Trey Boston available, another older guy, 31 years old. Not very fast either. Over at strong safety, we have Ricardo Allen, another older guy. Again, not much speed there either. Granted, last year we did have one guy with speed back there. We have Adrian Phillips. What do we got, Adrian? Not a lot. Not a lot. I want someone with a little bit of speed. LaMarcus Joyner was on the team last year. He did, however, play strong safety rather than free, and his ratings are about the same. We could possibly bring him back, move over the other safety. I think has a little bit more speed. Yeah, there's not a whole lot else, so we'll offer a small contract to LaMarcus Joyner and see what we're able to pick up here. We'll offer 1 year, 1.5 mil, 49-point offer. We'll see if he ends up taking it. Otherwise, we're gonna be a little iffy at safety unless we could find someone in the draft. All right, so I offered everyone that I knew. Had to change a couple guys. We will sim on over to the last week of free agency, see who else joins, and check on those scouts. All right, so we do get Joyner. We do not get the running back, so we are going to need to sign a running back in free agency after the draft. So let's check out the players that we brought in for private workouts. And I don't think we have the same scouting as last time, because last time I knew a lot more about Justin Dawson. So what we do know about him is that he has great awareness, good cover ability, and has a bit of hit power. He could be a tremendous safety for us. Fantastic speed, would be a great move over to free safety. Has a bit of strength as well as acceleration. In terms of size, 6 foot, 211 pounds. He could be a great player to get. The other player that we looked at was Sam Schaefer, a 40% on him, so he did not go up at all, but we know that he has the highest cover skills that we've seen, both a B-man and A-zone coverage. Of course, that's relative to the draft, so might not be high, but he's the best that we've seen. And lastly, we get Martin McAllister, and he's the one this time that actually gets the 80% scout, so goes up a lot. We see B block shedding, B impact block, B tackle, B awareness, only C power moves and C play recognition, but pretty solid. Take a look at his physicals. He's a strong dude. 40 reps, not fast, but he's a run stopper. Decent jumping ability, so goes back to strength with that broad jump, so pretty good there. Yeah, he would be a solid guy to add to our defensive line class. 6'3", 316 pounds. He is 23, so a little bit on the older side. I prefer 21, 22, but is a great guy to look at in the 3rd and 4th round. And that is about all we have to do here in free agency. We can take a look here at the recap, see where some of our former players go or went. I guess both, where they go, where they are going. Yeah. But let's see, league signings. Let's go over, check running back. Madison was signed by the Philadelphia Eagles. take a look at tight end Irv Smith Jr. going to the Jets. And we also had center Bradbury. He's going to the Cardinals. Defensive tackle, we had Dalvin Tomlinson is now going to the Falcons. Anthony Barr doesn't look like he was signed. If I go over here to available, yeah, Barr is unsigned, only 72 overall. In terms of our corners, Verrett going to the Chicago Bears. He wasn't picked up in my previous attempt here, so that's a bit different. Brian Poole is going to the Lions, so a kind of a rival team there. At free safety, who did we have playing free safety last year? That was Lamarcus Joyner, I believe. No, that was strong safety. Who did we have at free safety? Oh, that was McCourty, and McCourty retired, so no one there. At strong safety, we had Joyner, who is now back with us this year. So that is, I think, all of the players, at least the important players, that left during free agency. DeCastro left, and then we re-signed him as well. So there's that. But I think it's now time to head on over to the NFL Draft. Welcome to this year's NFL Draft. The Steelers are first up, and since I already read through this whole thing, and I know when certain players went, what some of their overalls were, I'm not going to do anything different than I did last time. So I will sim to each of my picks and only trade away the one pick that I did trade away, which was my second, fourth round pick. But before I do this, I'm going to create a save, just in case. All right, we're saved and we're ready to sim, and we'll see if the same player that we picked up originally is still there. All right, all the way back at the end of the first round pick. Now, I did not trade this away. I looked at the trades, but nothing really presented itself in the manner that I liked. So we'll see if the guy that I wanted is still there, or the guy that I picked is still there. And he is. We went with We went with Nicholas Graves as our first round pick. I would have loved to go with one of those safeties. Can't really see them now, but there were a couple safeties that I liked, strong safeties. Both went earlier than they were expected to go. One of them was a few picks before us. So we go with another need. We don't really have a starter, or a for sure starter at defensive tackle. We picked up some depth, but Monte Nicholson has the ability. I skipped over a little bit. He's 6'3", almost 300 pounds, 297. He's 21 years old, and he's out of USC. If we take a look at the notes, he always lays a massive hit, loves a spin move, relies on swift arm over move, uses speed to power to bull rush, motor is always running hot, often looks to rip the ball from runners, which is nice, and typically avoids getting flagged. All fantastic notes for him. In terms of his physical standpoint, I mean, dude is fantastic. He ran the fastest 40, a defensive tackle, almost 300 pounds, ran a 4.77 to a 4.8. Still fantastic. 32 to 34 reps on bench, plus we have the strength modifier for our defensive tackles. Fantastic vert, fantastic long jump, pretty agile too. Was fourth or third in 3-cone and was first on the 20-yard shuttle. All looks fantastic. He has A, power moves, B, hit power, so he's going to provide an interior rush, which was not very consistent with us last year. Putting him together with Michael Pierce, 340 pound Michael Pierce with a finesse guy as well, could be a great tandem. So Nicholas Graves is back on the team, and he is a hidden dev guy, a fantastic get for us in the first round. And like I said, I did not trade up at all, so we're going to go ahead and skip to our next pick, which is the last pick of the second round. And I talked about it over and over during the season. My go-to in this draft was always going to be a left outside linebacker, Sam Schaefer. We go over here and you see he's gone. He ended up, at least in the first draft that I went through, he went to the Bucks way ahead of when he was supposed to. There was another guy here who was a 1 to 2 round guy. He didn't go, as well as George Lavelle, who was above Sam Schaefer, also didn't go. But Sam Schaefer went. So what I ended up doing, I looked through a bunch of different guys, And we ended up going here with a different linebacker in Alex Brooks. And he has some potential. It's not to the same level as what I saw in Schaefer, but there's some talent here. Always looking for a massive hit, maintains poise at the catch point, motor always running hot, often looks to rip out the ball from runners, avoids getting flagged, loves a spin move counter, relies on the same thing as the other guy that we drafted. He's 5'11", so a little short, 224 pounds, 22 years old, so a good age, about the size of a covered kind of back for us. Take a look at the athletic attributes. Pretty fast, 4.57. Not extremely strong, but not weak. Pretty good agility. He was first in the shuttle and 3-cone. Not a whole lot in terms of the broad jump, at least during his pro day, but had a fantastic vert. We look at the skill set, B catching, so we know he has the potential to force some interceptions, so that made us think maybe he can cover a little bit. Pursuit, B. Worst case scenario, he's a guy that we can develop, and we need to develop some linebackers because our guys are getting old. They're gonna need to be replaced within probably about 2 years. So we need to get some young guys and get them going. So we drafted Alex Brooks, and he ended up being another hidden dev for us with fantastic speed. He has the athleticism. It might depend. We'll need to take a look at it, but if all we have to do is work on the skill attributes, those come up. So especially with hidden dev, that'll be fantastic for us. And we also didn't do anything else here. We just waited for our next pick, so I'll skim ahead to the 32nd pick in the 3rd round. Now let's see if the same guy is here. We ended up double dipping at linebacker because we have a lot of work to do in that field. So we'll jump on over to him. This time it was a right outside linebacker. And as I'm looking here, we drafted an E. Hilton. And I don't see an E. Hilton. Oh, just kidding. He's at the top. I am just a little blind. Yeah, we drafted Eldra Hilton. We're going to sit him at the same table as Ezra Cleveland. They're going to become best friends because they all have not weird, but different names than normal. Good size, though, on him. 6'2", 233, 22 years old, out of Northern Illinois. Always looks for a big hit. Poise at the catch point. Hot motor. Rips the ball out. Avoids getting flagged. Have you caught on to the theme that we're going for here? Guys who can create turnovers and not flags. He's the fastest right outside linebacker. Pretty strong as well, at least in terms of the class. Great jumping ability, great agility, great acceleration. He has the attributes of being a guy who can make some plays. A, injury, so we don't have to worry about him getting injured. And B, man coverage, and that was the key indicator for him. Play rec isn't great, pursuit's not great, but this tells me he might be a decent cover guy. So that's why we went with Eldra Hilton here. Double dipping at linebacker, we need all the help we can get. Went ahead and drafted him. Only a normal dev, really good speed, fantastic acceleration at 90. If we need to work on his actual linebacker attributes, that's perfectly fine. That's what we're doing. We're building the depth on this team because the previous depth was awful. And we ended up actually picking back to back here. So we'll jump right back in and pick another player. And this was our one and only pick that we had in the 4th round. I traded our next 4th round pick, the 32nd pick in the 4th round, to get a future, I think it was a future 4th and a late 7th. But the guy we ended up going with here is center Zach Perry. Still here. He went up 15 spots. He's a 3rd to 4th round guy. So right basically in the middle at the beginning of the 4th round. And with him, hot motor, avoids getting flagged. He's 6'4", 316 pounds, 22 years old, out of Bama. From the physical standpoints, he's not fast. He has decent acceleration when it comes to, or pretty good acceleration. 3rd or 4th in the class, pretty solid. Strength isn't super high, isn't very low. We do have that, I think it's a +4 with our coaching bonus, so that'll go up even more. Plus, we're drafting for backups right now. So that's what we're looking at. And with a run block in the 4th round, you bet we're going for you. So we did draft Zach Perry. We're going to draft him again, just a normal dev, but we need backup on the offensive line because we only have one guy at this point. So now we at least have two. After Perry, we went ahead and simmed down to our next pick, which we did not make a pick. We traded it. I don't fully remember who. I want to say the Raiders, I think. But it was for a future 4th and a current 7th. So let's see what we have here. So the Raiders are offering that same pick, so we will go with them, get a future 4, and pick up a late 7. All the way down now into the day 3 picks. Pick 10 in the 6th round. Go ahead and open up our board here. Open up my notes. So in this spot, we went and double dipped at center just because that was really the only position that we found some good offensive line later in the draft. And we had drafted an A. Page. However, A. Page is not here. So we do need to find a new 6th round target. So later in the 6th round, we went with a tight end. If he's there later on, fantastic. We'll go then. Take a look at Johnny Snyder here. It's a day 3 pick. He has A. impact blocking, which is fantastic. B. lead, however, F. finesse, and then C. elsewhere. So there's a lot of good, but also a lot of bad. Not very strong. Not a huge fan here of Johnny Snyder. Another center that is available is Spencer Belton, who has A. pass block, B. pass block power, F. run block power. So some really high attributes, but also some really low attributes. However, this dude is strong. Anywhere between 34 to 38. Also pretty decently fast. How old is this dude? 22? That's the age I like. 6'3", 298. Typically avoids getting flagged. I think we go with Spencer Belton, and this is a new pick for both you and me. Let's see what we hit on. A hidden dev dude. That's a nice replacement for us, because I could tell you the other guy we drafted was not a hidden dev. So nice get there. Don't think he's going to be much of a center. If he can't run block, might move him out to tackle, where we do need some depth blockers there. But we'll see what happens with Spencer. Now for this pick, we have two almost back-to-back Jaguars in between our picks. We went and got a undrafted, I believe he was undrafted guy, or potential undrafted guy, who I thought was fantastic, had ability that guys on our team currently do not. So I hope he is available. He was a left end, and yep, Rashard Calhoun. He's a potential undrafted, but listen to me, even though this is a 6th round, he is 6'5", 278 pounds, 22 years old, out of Syracuse, always looks for a massive hit, loves to spin, relies on the swift arm over, uses speed to power, motor always running hot, rips the ball out, and avoids flags. From his physical standpoint, not super strong, but he's an edge rush guy, anywhere between 30 and 28. Plus our D-line has the strength boost. He's the fastest left end, best vert, pretty good, anywhere between 7th to 1st in terms of broad jump. There's a big difference there. 3-cone, pretty good as well. 20-yard shuttle, pretty good as well. When we look at his skill set, and this is what made me save him, when you look at his power moves as a B and stamina B as a late 6th round pick, I don't think any of our guys that we currently have on the roster as depth would have B power moves. So we went ahead and selected Rashard Calhoun, only normal dev, 82 strength will get a boost, solid speed, jumping, agility, and acceleration will be a great backup, and we need to build backup depth at rush, as we really only have Ibukum, and he ended up, I feel like, basically being a part-time starter most of last season, just due to injury. So depth up front on the D-line, much needed. He should be a great player. And with our 32nd pick in the 6th round, I probably took my biggest reach of the draft, and I went with Christopher Starks. And let me tell you my reasoning behind it, and then you'll see the ratings at the end of the draft. He's 6'3", 238 pounds, 21 years old, out of Clemson. He suffers from concentration drops, but he keeps excellent body control on the sidelines. He fights for extra yards, Great at snagging passes in mid-air, which is a little bit controversial to the original one. Avoids big hits following catches. Wants to take everything to the house and avoids getting flagged. Take a look at the physical attributes. He's the fastest tight end. Ran a 4.63, decent strength, good acceleration and agility, and pretty decent jumping as well. Now the skill that I was looking at here was mostly the B catching. Everything else is kind of but I figured late in the draft, he has a great athleticism to him, pretty decent size. We'll give him a shot. So we did. We go ahead and draft him here, just a normal dev, 84 speed, 85 acceleration, and 83 agility. So not bad. We'll see if we have to develop some of his other traits, but from those, not awful. And now down to the 23rd pick in the 7th round. These are kind of what most of the time are like throwaway picks. A lot of the times these guys don't typically do too well. Not saying that that isn't an option. Some definitely do. But I went ahead and I drafted Noah Thurston, a fullback. Some might say it's a little controversial. He's 6 foot, 246 pounds, 22 years old. He rarely protects the football, suffers from concentration drops, but hey, he fights for extra yards, avoids big hits, and wants to take everything to the house. So, interesting kind of player here. When we look at the skills in terms of athleticism, the fastest fullback in the class ran a 4.78, which is pretty good for a fullback. Agility and three-cone, or agility and acceleration, pretty good. Bench reps, decent, at least. Not awful. Skill set, we know that he has B catching and B spin move. So that told me he's probably a utility style fullback, which is similar to that of Ham, who he would be basically learning from for at least a year, maybe a little bit more. I don't know Ham's contract by heart, but that's why I went for him. He has F break tackle, so not sure if he's going to be able to get those extra yards like Ham does, and has F run block finesse, so not sure how great of a blocker he's going to be, but he's going to have time to develop. So we went ahead and picked him. He's 22 years old. He has time. Unfortunately, no spectacular dev trait here, just normal overall, but 78 speed, 80 acceleration, and 77 agility at fullback is pretty good. 70 strength could be a little bit better, but we'll take it. And then with the last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, we kind of looked through and through and through this entire rest of the class here, seeing if there was anything that we could try to hit on. And we decided to go punter. Eddie Hernandez out of Ohio State. This dude is big. He is 6'5", 230 pounds. He should be playing edge rush, linebacker, maybe even tight end, but no, this dude is a punter. And when I say he's a punter, I mean this dude has elite change of direction and elite kick power. Don't know what the change of direction has to do with punting, but it's elite. So we went ahead and went with Eddie Hernandez. He's got a boot on him. We don't know much about the accuracy, but dude can tackle. It's an A. So maybe he plays linebacker for us as well, but we drafted him with our last pick in this draft. Mr. Irrelevant is a punter. And you see here, nothing spectacular, normal dev, but 96 kick power, 76 acceleration, pretty good, 72 speed for a punter, solid, we'll take it. But the real question is, how do those players actually look? So let's open up our draft recap here and show you the full overall ratings for all these guys, their overall ratings and their individual ratings, and just show what we got. So first up, Nicholas Graves, only a 72 overall. However, when he joins the team, our coaches bump him up to a 74, and he's hidden dev. So he can become a starter right away. It'll be three less overall points than where Dalvin Tomlinson was. But this dude is like 9 years younger than him at this point, maybe 8 years younger than him. So plenty of room to get better. Plus, like I said, he's that hidden dev. When you look at the actual ratings, he has 91 strength, which is plenty, block shedding 77, and power moves 82, which is about where Dalvin Tomlinson was. So we're really not missing out on anything there. Where we might be missing out is things like awareness and maybe a little bit of play rec. However, I don't think it shows me that. So a little bit of play rec 77. So pretty good there. if the awareness goes up, he's going to jump, and overall, we could have the tackling come up a little bit, but definitely going to be focusing on the block shedding for him, as that's what our archetype is preferred. They're basically tied, so one upgrade is going to give him, most likely, that archetype boost. Yeah, so solid player to get. He will be a starter day one. Everywhere else you see, we did not get anyone over a 70 until we get to our new punter, who's a 71 overall. And yes, I know we had an 81 overall punter, but now we could trade him, and we have a good guy to take over for him. Yeah, so let's go down. Alex Brooks, we saw a lot of potential with him. He is hidden dev. They show that he's actually a speed rusher / run stopper, but honestly, all of his traits are so close together, we can mold him however we want. And he's 22 years old, so he has that ability to be molded. Now, Alex doesn't have fantastic ratings to start out with. When we look at the coverage ability, he's a 58 with a -2 overall, or 2, not overall, but 2 the zone coverage for his -1 morale. As soon as that goes up, it's a 60, so not awful. Man coverage is a 62, which is pretty decent for a linebacker. They normally don't start off that high. Injury is a 90. Stamina's pretty high. Agility's pretty high. So we need to work on his core abilities, but his athletics are there. 85 speed, 90 acceleration, 77 strength. We boost some of that tackling and coverage ability, and he'll be solid. After him, we went and drafted Eldra Hilton, another outside backer, and we thought he might have some cover ability too, just because he had, I think it was the B-man coverage. So that B-man coverage actually meant 61, so basically the same as our other linebacker, 58 zone, basically the same. He does get the edge in terms of block shedding, is a bit higher. He also has fantastic athletics, 86 speed, 90 acceleration. Tackle is given a boost up to 80. He's not a big hitter, but he has potential to grow. And all of these guys that we drafted have potential to grow, and they're all 22, 21. There might have been maybe a 23 that snuck in there somewhere, but they all have ability to grow. Next up, we went with Zach Perry, who was 6'4", 316 pounds. He's just a normal dev, so isn't going to see anything excel very quickly, but he's a solid run blocker. He doesn't have the lead or impact block, so I'm going to keep him at center because I feel like if he does have to play, he's going to need help from one of the guards. So that'll be a good position for him to stay at, but he has 91 strength, which is fantastic, and we'll work on the rest from there. Most likely for him, it's just going to be pumping the power move or a power archetype for him. We're not even going to try to mess with a finesse. He's a power blocker, and that's Alex, or not Alex, that's Zach Perry. He's a power blocker, and that's fine with us. The difference, though, between the first draft and this draft is Spencer Belton. Previously, I drafted a different center who is actually a 66 overall, so the same as our other center, but we drafted him in the 6th round. This one only is 63, but he does have hidden dev. And when we take a look at the ratings, he is a fantastic pass blocker, 80. He's not going to run block power very well. Pass block power is pretty good. The other ratings kind of here and there. I want to move him over to maybe right tackle. We'll have him play, well, I think that's where Clayton is. We'll move him over to tackle, and I want to see if his ratings go up. And with that change, it goes up slightly. Goes up to a 65, and I did change his number because 70 is saved for a starting tackle, but this is a better position for him. He has great strength, he has pass blocking ability, he has work that's going to need to be done, but he has that development trait, 99 injury, 98 stamina, so he's never going to leave the field when he gets out there if he gets that development that he needs, but Belton could be a solid player for us. And then, of course, we went and drafted the undrafted potential guy, Rashad Calhoun, 6'5", tremendous size, 22 years old. And when we go over to his ratings, we see 72 power, which is a little bit low, considering that it said that it was a B. But that is higher than any of the power or the rushing moves just in general of any of our backup guys, minus Ibukum, who's kind of like a spot starter. But he has good strength, pretty good speed, acceleration, tackling isn't bad, agility is fantastic, stamina's good, injury could be a little bit higher, but as a backup, be fine, solid hit power. He has great potential, and he could eventually see that potential come into fruition. I am going to change his number, though, because no defensive lineman of mine that I draft is going to be wearing anything besides a number in the 90s. Maybe occasionally I'll have a guy elsewhere, but linemen, defensive linemen, you wear numbers in the 90s. And then after Calhoun, we took a reach. We went for Christopher Starks. He's only a 60 overall with a -1 morale right now, so a 61 overall. However, he's 21, so he has room to grow. He is honestly pretty decent catching stats here. 84 speed, 79 catching, 85 acceleration, catching traffic 72, same as spec catch. He's definitely not much of a run blocker, 58. So we might stay out of the 3 tight end set this year, stick to maybe a 2 tight end set at most, or maybe even bring in Thurston, our fullback that we'll see next, to play a bit of a 3rd tight end for us. It all kind of depends. But that's Starks. He has the ability to get better. Will he? Not sure with the normal dev, but it was a risk I was willing to take. After Starks, we did, like I said, get Noah Thurston, 6 foot, 249 or 46 pounds, 22 out of Wisconsin. I feel like most of the guys I drafted are 22. Now with him, you get 78 speed, 77 lead block, only 64 impact blocking, 80 acceleration, strength is a 70, trucking is a 65, so nothing spectacular there. Stiff arms is 72, catching is a 71, so he will be able to go out of the backfield, which we did with him, or have done with him quite often. 65 run block, so he has the ability to play a little bit of fullback, a little bit of tight end, whatever we need him to do this year. And lastly, Eddie Hernandez, going to be our new punter, even though this dude is like large. And with that gigantic leg of his, he has 96 kick power, only 73 accuracy, but that's okay as a punter. 72 speed, pretty good as well. Only 46 tackling, so not going to be able to move into linebacker or anything, but solid dude. And of course, I talked so much about Sam Schaefer, so let me see if I could find him, see what team he ended up going to, and I'll show you guys what his stats are. So Schaefer ends up going actually a little bit closer to us this time, going to the Dallas Cowboys with the 24th pick in the 2nd round. He is a 71 with a team boost, 72. Hidden dev player, so both the linebackers, the one that we got and the one that I wanted, both hidden dev. He's also 22 years old, but when we look at the stats, there's really not much that separates him from the other linebackers that we drafted. His zone is about 5 points higher. Man coverage is the same. Tackling is about the same, about an average of the two. Acceleration and speed are basically the same, and block shedding is basically the same. So the difference that we're probably seeing in terms of the overall difference is coming from awareness and play rec. Some of the kind of unintangibles, things that are harder to upgrade. Awareness is hard to upgrade. Play rec also a little difficult to upgrade as well. But honestly, they're pretty similar, so perfectly fine with missing him. They ended up honestly all being about the same kind of caliber linebacker. Now we still have 3 spots that we need to fill, and we need to find a free safety because I'm not too positive that we have our starter on roster. And it was during this stage that I did not have the save function to save the game. I've had several saves before this, but I do see the save point there, so we should be good to go. But there are a couple things that we need to do, and those are filling out the roster through free agency and maybe even a trade to find a free safety. And I know we need help at the cornerback class. We only have 3 on roster, so we're going to need to bring in some dudes. So let's go over here and just give me the best zone cover guys. And then I want to find some guys with a little bit of youth to them. They don't need to be super young, but see what we can find. Tavon Young, that name sounds familiar. I feel like I might have picked him up as a depth guy. Yeah, those ratings look familiar. So we're going to pick up Tavon Young. He's not extremely fast, but he'll be depth. Then past Young, there is Torrey McTyer. Yeah, McTyer. That doesn't sound too familiar. He's a 68 overall. He does have higher zone than man, but yet he's a man cover guy, which is a bit strange. Yeah, we'll go with we'll go with McTire here. He'll be our 5th corner, so not going to see the field too often, but will hopefully play better than some of the former guys that we had in the 4th and 5th spot. And we need a free safety because I believe we only have 71 overalls at free safety. So I'm going to take a look through the trade market, see if we could find anyone of interest, and I'll get back to you when we do. The question is, do you think the Bengals would trade Von Bell, their strong safety, and I'll show you why I'm offering for Von Bell. They drafted Harvey Keenan, one of the safeties that we wanted, who has plenty of potential to start. Do you think they would trade Von Bell for a punter? The answer is no. No, they would not. Honestly, just had to give it a try. We're also going to try to see if we could trade a punter for their newly acquired safety. No, even less. About what I thought, I had to give it a try. Another option, Julian Love from the Giants for a punter. Nope, no, no interest. I'm just seeing if I could trade a punter for any of these safeties, and then we'll see again with some actual real trades. The only other safety that I found here was Terrell Burgess from the Rams. Will they take him for a safety? No, because it would put them over salary cap, so can't even make that trade. We'll see after preseason. We'll go through. I'm going to adjust the roster real quick, and then I'll show you what the current lineup looks like and what we're going to do kind of going forward. And to wrap up this off-season video, this is what the current team looks like. So on offense, not a whole lot of change. Basically the same starters across the board. Only difference being Ezra Cleveland back in the starting lineup as we went ahead and did not re-sign Bradbury. So Dalton Smith going to move back to center where he played in college. So we'll have him as a new starter there. Ezra Cleveland returning to start at left guard. Over on defense, a little bit different. Obviously the secondary, most of the guys are new. Kyle Fuller will play one of the outside DBs on the opposite side as Ward. Dantzler will still continue to play the slot for now. We'll see what ends up happening after his rookie contract is up. Joyner we're going to have as the free safety just because he has a little bit of acceleration over Ward. Their speed is the same. Harris will back up both of the safety positions. Eric Wilson takes over for Barr at the 3rd linebacker spot. Hilton will play underneath him. Kendrick still middle linebacker. Troy Dye is currently at the number 2 middle linebacker spot, but that could easily change with either Brooks or Hilton. Harrison Smith at the left backer spot. Underneath him, Brooks. So kind of switch on both of the outside backers with Brooks, Hilton, Brooks. Just want to make sure they're both getting time out there. Jimmy Ward is going to be the strong safety, again followed by Will Harris, and then Bynum will be the 3rd string safety. Taking a look over at special teams, kicker is the same. We do have the new punter, so he will be playing. Long snapper is Smith, and then Nwangwu still back to do the return duties. As we look at the specialists, Dantzler, like I said, can keep him in the slot. The outside rush guys look about the same. Pierce, Wanham. Following both of those is going to be Ibaka and Calhoun. Want to make sure Calhoun's getting out there. Rush DTs, Michael Pierce and Graves. And then slot receiver, still going to be Thielen. And then running backs are going to be Cook, obviously, for both of those. For 3rd down, we'll have Nwangwu be the main backup there. For power back, will be Freeman. And we went ahead and went into free agency after this was all over to re-sign Freeman because we needed that 3rd running back. But that is what the team currently looks like. Let me know down in the comment section below what you all think, who your favorite pickup was, if there was anyone that was a little bit disappointing, and kind of go. We'll talk about it a little bit. Also, let me know if there's someone that you would like for me to trade for. Always open to that. We do have some positions that could use a little bit of an upgrade, but for the most part, we're trying to get younger and we're trying to get better. So if you guys enjoyed this offseason, let me know. Hit that like button down below. You could comment Skol Vikings or talk about one of your favorite players, something like that. It's a great way to support the channel. Make sure you're also hitting that subscribe button and bell notification to be notified when I post new videos. These are posted every Thursday, Saturday, and Monday, and the next episode will be the entire preseason, so make sure you're staying along for that. I hope you enjoy this video, and until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.